yeah, I enjoyed my time with this book so much. Highly recommend. Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having the best day ever. Today I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in the past month of January. And I kicked off the month with a mystery thriller by Frieda McFadden. It is called The Perfect Son. And in this book we are following an anxious mother who is suspicious of her son, but at the same time she loves him so much and she wants to protect him. She has two kids. The first one is a daughter and the second one is the oldest, Liam. And from the first chapter, from her inner thoughts, we know that she prefers her oldest son. In her opinion, he's the perfect son. He knows how to take care of himself. He always presents well. He knows how to speak. He does what he's supposed to do without being pushed, and like he does not make her crazy overall. So she loves him so much. Until one evening, two detectives show at her doorstep because of a missing girl at his high school, the high school of her son, and they suspect murder. And Liam was the last person to have seen this girl alive and interacted with her. I gave this book 4 stars. It hooked me from the beginning, from the first chapter when we opened with an interview between Erica, the mother, and 2 investigators, and I couldn't stop listening. I finished it in a day. The mystery got me and I was going back and forth between all the suspects. I really enjoyed it so much. This was very entertaining. Highly recommend. The next book that I read was Howl's Moving Castle. In this book, we are following Sophie, and she's the eldest of 3 daughters, and what this means is that she is destined to fail if she tries to leave her home and follow her dreams. Until one day, she gets into an entanglement with the evil witch of the waste, and she finds herself under a terrible spell or curse that transformed her to an old lady. And she cannot talk about her curse to anyone, so now no one knows who she really is. And her only chance at breaking her curse lies in the ever-moving castle in the hills that belongs to Howl. It is a charming, whimsical story, but I enjoyed the first part of the book better than the second part. In the second part, not a lot of things happened and the plot kind of slowed a little bit. But with that being said, I believe the targeted age demographic would enjoy this book so much. The next book that I picked up was Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Sanderson. In this book, we have 2 protagonists and 2 different worlds. In the city of Kilahito, I think it's called, we have Nikaro, the Nightmare Painter. It is a city of technology and darkness and also nightmares. And fighting those nightmares are the Nightmare Painters. And the second city or the second world is Torio, a land of light, meditations, gardens, and spirits. And in Torio, we follow Yumi, who is a young priestess. She has the power to summon and command spirits to help the inhabitants of the city, and she does that through very specific rituals and through stacking stones. And an event happened that intertwined their fates, and now they must compromise and work together in order to save their worlds from ruin. This book reads like an anime or a fantasy game, and I think that Sanderson mentioned that he got inspired by one of his favorite games, Final Fantasy X, and it really feels like a game. I don't know how to explain it, or like an anime. I really enjoyed it. I thought that we had life struggles, real life struggles. We had very precious friendships, an endearing romance, and we also got some action. And it was filled with beautiful quotes. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. Maybe if you haven't read any Sanderson books before, this is a standalone, so it is one and done, and you can get a feel for his writing. I really recommend it. The next book that I picked up was Godkiller. This is book 1 in the Fallen Gods series. I decided to pick up this book this month because of the close sale date of the 3rd book in the series from Illumicrate, and I needed to know if I want to get it or not, basically. This is an adult fantasy with multiple POVs, and we follow Kissen. I think we can call her the main POV in the story. And Kissen's family was killed by zealots of a fire god, and from that moment she became a Godkiller, and she loves her job so much. Until one day she meets a god that she cannot kill. His name is Skedi, or its name is Skedi, I don't know. It's like a rabbit with horns, these horns, and he's the god of white lies, and he somehow bound himself to a young noble girl, and both of them are on the run from unknown assassins. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. I loved how all the POVs came together, and also the unique relationships that the characters forged. But I felt like the pacing got slower in the middle of the book, and for some reason, I didn't get attached to the characters. And also, I was never invested enough to care about the romantic subplot. And that is why I decided to skip the Illumicrate sale. I already sold my Illumicrate copies. I still have my Waterstones copies of book 1 and book 2. And yeah, I gave it 3 stars. I enjoyed it, but not to the point of like wanting to own a special edition of the series. So yeah, that was Godkiller. Okay, the next book that I picked up was The Stars Are Dying. I already talked to you a little bit about how I felt about this book in my book unhaul and organization video, but I wanted to give you an idea about the synopsis. So in this book, we follow beautiful Astrea, and she lost her memories, I think, for about like 5 years ago, and she was found running in the woods by this very evil man. His name is Hector, and he found her and sheltered her under the pretense that he's protecting her from the vampires. I mean, there are vampires in this world, and he is kind of protecting her because she's like stuck in this house. She cannot go out or do anything without his permission. So yes, but he's like one of the most evil, abusive men, and you're like, I was questioning why she didn't think about escaping until now, after 5 years. And in her escape, Knight helps her. He's the MMC. And he also helps her again in the trials later on. The trials are held by the king, and it is basically 5 humans from the 5 different human lands competing for a cycle of safety from the vampires. What I thought was weird from the beginning is that Astrea didn't seem to know anything about her world. Like, and I know she's stuck in this house, but she had a lot of servants. Her friend, I think, for at least 4 years, she'd known her. They never had conversations about the world, the history, the war that happened before. It seemed like we are learning everything alongside her, and it was strange that you are living in a world that you don't know anything about. She didn't know anything about the war. They call it the Celestial War, I think, where the Celestials disappeared at the end of it. And she didn't know about the existence of the veil, which I found so strange. And also it is on chapter 15 that she knows that some people have magic. Like, come on. I know that Hector kept her confined in this manner for 5 years, but you had access to people and books, and I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. Also, there was a lot of missing information here and there that prevented me from enjoying this book. The world building, I've told you about it. It was very badly structured and all over the place in general. And also, I felt like the author wanted to fit so many tropes in one book. I finished this book, and even after finishing the book, I still felt confused. I had too many unanswered questions, not about the plot or things that we are supposed to know in book 2, but missing information in general. So yeah, that was my experience, and I already told you that I was unhauling these books. So yeah, The Stars Are Dying. The next books that I picked up were Iron Flame and ONYX Storm. I reread Iron Flame, and I reread it through the graphic audiobook. It was excellent. It was the first time I listened to the graphic audiobook, and it was So well done. I loved it so much. All the effects, the cast of characters, it is worth it 100%. If you want to reread them at some point, I highly recommend the graphic audiobook, and it solidified my 5 stars that I gave to this book in the beginning. Yes, I love it. I love these characters. I love it. I love this world. I love everything about it. ONYX STORM, 6 stars. I loved it so much. I'm not going to talk about it in this video because I have a whole dedicated vlog to this one, a spoilery vlog, where you can see all my live reactions and thoughts and everything. I love them. I love this series so much. And after I finished ONYX STORM, I had the biggest book hangover ever. And honestly, I didn't want to pick up any other book after it, so I felt the reading slump coming slowly in my direction. I was scared, so I was like, okay, I need to pick up a book as soon as possible. And I decided, and also my Libby holds came in at the perfect time, audiobooks. So I decided to pick the thrillers that I had in my Libby app. The first one was One by One by Frieda McFadden. In this book, we are following a group of friends who are going to a cabin in the woods for the weekend. And we have 3 couples in this group. And along the way, they get lost in the woods. And in the next few days, one by one, they get picked off by a mysterious killer. All the characters in this book were unlikable. And maybe that's what the author wanted. But I didn't like any character in this book. And a lot of the things that happened in the woods are kind of unbelievable, hard to believe, to be honest. And also there is cheating in this book. So if you don't like reading about cheating, you will not enjoy this one. This was not one of the best books that I read by this author. I gave it 2.75 stars. And the second book that came in on my Libby app, the audiobook, was also by Frieda McFadden. It is called The Coworker. And this was somehow worse than One by One. In this book, we are following the disappearance/murder of a co-worker in this company. Her name is Dawn, and she works at this company as an accountant. And I think she's autistic, but the author never says that clearly, like she's autistic. But from her behavior, maybe she's autistic. And she loves turtles. And I mean, she has an obsession, a fixation about turtles. And the things that I learned about turtles in this book, it should have been called Turtles, honestly. The turtle word got repeated multiple times to the point where it drove me insane. A lot of turtles all over the place. It was so weird. I almost DNF'd the book because of it. I have no problems with turtles. I mean, I like them. They are fine, I guess, but it was too much. It got to the point where it was too much, and I didn't like the pacing of this book. Also, the twist wasn't twisting. You could easily put everything together and figure out what is going on, and the plot got a little bit silly. Yeah, this one is definitely my least favorite book from Frieda McFadden. And after these 2 disappointments, I was very excited to go back to fantasy, so I think they served their purpose nonetheless. I read the sequel to 5 Broken Blades. It is called 4 Ruined Realms, and it was so good. I was anxious that this will not live up to my expectations. It will not match what we got in the first book, but I'm happy to report that I enjoyed it so much. The same amount of enjoyment as the first book. And I also loved how the group split and they went into different directions and different missions, because we got to explore more parts of the world, but also we got to deepen the connections between the love interests and also get to know the characters a little bit better. And especially after what happened at the ending of book 1, we needed that connection back, if you know what I mean. We got a lot of fighting scenes and a lot of emotional scenes too, that I can't speak about. But the ending got my jaw on the floor. My jaw was on the floor. I didn't expect it at all, and I'm definitely going to continue on with the series. This was very good. A breath of fresh air. Very much enjoyed it. Highly recommend this series. These two books at least. And the next book that I picked up, audiobook and also Kindle, Leather and Lark. And oh my God, I'm obsessed. I am obsessed with this book. I kept thinking about it. So yesterday I was like, no, I'm going to bump up my rating from 4 stars to 5 stars because I couldn't get Lachlan and Lark out of my head. This book was so good. Some people said that it didn't match. I mean, they loved it, but it's not as good as Butcher and Blackbird. No, and not in my opinion. This matches Butcher and Blackbird. I love both of them equally. And yeah, they deserve all the hype. In this book, we follow Lachlan Kane, who is the biggest brother in the Kane brothers family. We had Rowan in the first book, and now we had Lachlan. And in the third book, we are going to have Fionn, who is the younger brother, and he's the doctor. But in this book, we are following Lachlan Kane and Lark, who is Sloane's best friend, who we got introduced to in book 1. I adored her personality. She was so unhinged and funny and bubbly and lively. And she's like this ray of sunshine. I loved her so much. And underneath all of that, she does not want to disappoint anyone. So what she does is she pushes herself to her limits just because she does not want to complain or does not want to disappoint anyone from the people that she cares about. And like she has this feeling that she does not want to burden anyone with her problems. And that thing I connected to very, very deeply. I felt for her. I really teared up multiple times during this book because I really connected to her character, and I adored Lachlan and how he decided to take things into his own hands and help her despite of her refusal. And he was like, no, I'm going to do what is best for you. I love that so much. And he calls her Duchess and she calls him Budget Batman because of the things that happened in the beginning of the book. And he was like, he was perfect. I remember a line that he says, whatever my Duchess wants. He's perfect. Perfect. Like the acts of service that he does and his unwavering love. I loved him so much. And also the humor, I laughed out loud so many times. These books are so funny, so lighthearted despite the dark themes. I love them so much. And like when he was like saying to her, so you are a serial unaliver? And Lark was like, no, I'm a multiple deleter. I love her. And yeah, I enjoyed my time with this book so much. Highly recommend not only the book, but the audiobook. The audiobooks, book 1 and book 2, both of them are gold. A chef's kiss. If you decide to pick up these books, don't forget to get the audiobooks. And that was it for me today, book besties. If you've made it this far, leave me any musical note of your choice in honor of Leather and Lark. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you want to see me organize and unhaul my books, watch this video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!